Well, hey there. So it is day 60 of 84 Days the Artist's Way. And I don't know why, but somehow I think just being in the sixes, in the 60s, is making me feel like, whoa, I'm feeling the weight of like, it's been 2 months of this. And I can't tell if that feels, if it's felt like 2 months, or if it's felt like 2 years, or it's felt like 2 minutes. It kind of depends on what you ask. Anyway, today, you maybe have heard of this book, The Surrender Experiment. It's by this guy named Michael Singer. He's also written this other book called The Untethered Soul. I have The Untethered Soul. I've read like 2 chapters of it. I started reading it last year in New York when I was still just like way too in this like heavy integration post-ayahuasca phase. I just like couldn't take it in. But I have, of course, heard so many great things about The Surrender Experiment. And certainly it would appeal to me as surrender is like the word of my life. It's certainly the word on my arm. And so, it's like, why have I not read it? I'm even in a Facebook group that's dedicated to people who, love this book and are influenced by it and are having conversations inspired by it. And I haven't even read it yet. So, and it's funny because I think I've been resisting it. And I think it makes perfect sense because I feel like, and I really got the sense of this today, that there's a lot of elements to the surrender experiment that are either applicable to the way I've been kind of starting to live my life now, or are sort of not a challenge, but like a framework of like, hey, if you really want to do this, like if you want to walk your talk, here's really what surrendering to life is really all about. And of course, the surrender experiment, this guy, Michael Singer, he just, the simple way to describe it is he just relinquished everything in terms of figuring things out in his mind and controlling outside circumstances and, really getting caught up in the how of how life was going to work out and just surrendered over to the natural flow of life. And that doesn't, of course, mean just kind of like laying around and waiting for things to come. It just means not trying to control the outside circumstances and just focusing on the fact that what you can control are your internal circumstances. You can actually control feeling good. You can control feeling calm. You can choose to listen to the noise of your mind. You might not be able to stop it, but if you think about it, it's like there's always ambient noise going on outside, but how often are you actually listening to it? And so it can really become the same thing. And of course, what happens is when you stop listening to all that ambient noise, you start to actually really hear things. And so that's really what it's all about. And it's really, I guess, what I've been tiptoeing towards, in moving towards surrender. I'm moving away from an entirely different paradigm of how I've lived my life. And yet I know that like surrender is the answer. It's like, how many more times do I need to be told? Like that was the only thing that got me through Peru and doing ayahuasca was surrendering. Like that's what made it so incredible is when I really learned how to surrender. And so, I was actually just listening to an interview with him this morning, Michael Singer, while I was doing dishes and making breakfast. And it really, there's those moments where you hear something or you read something and it is so crystal clear true for you. It is so like, oh my God, yes, that's it. That's really how I felt about what he was talking about. And so I am really excited to start, start doing the surrender experiment. I'm so used to doing the artist's way, doing the surrender experiment. I'm going to get a copy of the surrender experiment, and I think that is... I think now is the time, kind of like with, I just started doing yoga again, and I've resisted yoga for years, and now I'm just like, oh my God, I can't fucking get enough of it. And so I think in the same way, the timing is right for the surrender experiment. So if you've read it, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if it's influenced you. If there's another book you would recommend, or something around surrender from your own experience. I love talking about the concept of surrender with people. So if that's something you want to talk about, you could leave a comment. We can talk about it. Got it? Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say for today. The only thing I would just say is like, it's probably pretty obvious from this video, but I'm feeling fucking great, and I'm kind of already seeing the way that surrender in my life, like he was just talking about how, if you really slow down and you really step back and you really see the way that life unfolds, you really see the way that life unfolds. You know what I mean? You start to pick up on the way that things are working and how they're working outside of your own personal drama. And I feel like just before I filmed this video, I had kind of an aha moment about something, and I was like, oh my God, wow, yeah, I'm seeing how that's happening in my life. And that hasn't fully like baked and marinated, so I'm not going to dive into it, but just to say that like I'm already kind of I'm feeling today already in the wave of surrender, and like really just like I'm on a surrender high. So yeah, I'm just gonna follow that high. Anyway, I think that is all, and I will see you tomorrow for another day of 84 Days of the Artist's Way. Okay, bye.